So the truth is, eventually you end up with both. All right, let's get the easy one out of the way first. If you want to do injection molds, the only way is with resin. Sorry, that's just the way it is. There's no current filament that can really stand the heat of plastisol injected, anywhere from 270 to 400 or whatever you're cooking yours at. I've shot some at 400 before. It's just gonna melt. No matter how thick you print it, you're gonna get maybe anywhere between 1 and 5 shots. So, I guess that's okay for just like a quick prototype or something, but you're gonna spend a lot of time printing that mold for not a lot of baits. It's just not worth it in my book. So, number 1, if you wanna do injection molds, a 3D resin printer with specifically Ceratec Sculpt is what I use as the resin, which is a high heat resin, is the only way to go. Bro, so spooky. Hey, birdie bird. What's up, bro? What is the call today, man? I think the call is we're gonna start with the swim jig. Woo. Look at this guy. This is the new fat paddle on a swim jig. I don't even know what swim jig this is. Okay, but before you rush out and buy that printer, there's something that you need to think about. Are you going to design these lures yourself? You'll need some CAD knowledge, Fusion 360, SolidWorks, Tinkercad, SketchUp, Blender, Rhino. There's a ton of choices out there, but you are going to be designing this stuff. Do you really want to do that? That's what you need to ask, because a 3D printer is awesome, but if you can't put quality models into it, then really, what are you doing? Now, you can join a Patreon like mine, download the models I create. You can download some off the internet, but, are you really saving that much money over just investing in some good quality aluminum molds from Angling AI, Fat Boys Fishing, all those folks that make really, really great molds? Yeah, I don't know, probably not. And you're spending a ton more time doing it. So, hunker down, learn one of those pieces of software, get a good design for a bait before you even buy a printer. This is like insanely beautiful, right? Like, holy crap, bro. Beautiful morning out here. Beautiful, beautiful morning. Just cruising over here, bro. You're cool. You're fine. You're fine. I'm not messing with you, dude. You're cool. Stay cool, bro. I hate when they do that, dude. You're just like, he's gonna friggin' jaws me. All right, let's say that you want to do open pour molds or hard lures, right? Your swim baits, your crankbaits, all that kind of good stuff. Or you're fine with like open pour silicone molds. I guess you could do a silicone injection mold too, but you don't necessarily need to print the mold is what I'm getting at. Then your choices get a little more tricky or confusing. For the longest time, I was diehard resin only, don't even bother with FDM, screw those poopers, you know, all that kind of stuff. But lately I've kind of softened my stance and, you know, I got an FDM printer again, the Bamboo P1P, which we'll talk about a little later. It's a friggin' amazing FDM printer. But the choice there gets really tricky. If you are doing top waters, if you want to be able to print and just like grab it off the printer, paint it up and go. If you're not really concerned about sanding some here and there. And you know, frankly, if you're gonna make some masters to then pour into silicone and you don't mind a kind of intermediary step of coating it with some resin, then an FDM printer is perfectly acceptable for any of those things, right? The strengths of FDM over resin is that, you know, as soon as the print is done, it's ready to go off the print bed. You can just like literally grab it. There's no additional UV curing. It's a lot cleaner than resin printers. You know, resin, you have a post-processing cycle with like isopropyl alcohol or denatured alcohol. You got resin kind of dripping everywhere. It's a real mess. And I'm messier than most. Now, the other thing is, you know, what is easiest for a beginner? And a lot of people will say FDM, but I had more problems with FDM prints than I did with resin prints, especially at the beginning. And, you know, I honestly think resin is easier to get a good quality print right out of the gate, with the exception of the Bamboo Labs P1P. And of course, I'm assuming their X1 Carbon, their X1 series of FDM printers, which are just amazing. So if you want to step up and buy a $600 FDM printer right out of the gate, then FDM might be easier. But if you're looking at like those budget printers, the Creality Ender 3s, you know, anything of kind of that design style, etc., man, those things, they can work great out of the bat. They can be a fiddly nightmare, and you'll spend a lot of time working on the printer and not working on your lures, which in my advanced age, I've decided I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to work on the tools that are supposed to be doing work for me, right? I'm going to actually work on the work. Crazy as that sounds. So, resin printers, right, they're messy, but you get insane quality. Even the kind of last gen 4K mono printers produce insane quality models. Yes, there's some post-processing, but once you get that out of the way, you have a model that requires little to no sanding. The sanding takes place during the post-processing. Then you're ready to paint and you have an awesome, awesome lure body. There he is, there he is. Woo! Finally, yes. Switch it up to the paddle tail. Bro, was the call? Yeah, all right. Nice. Little chunker. It's a good little combo there, bro. I love this color. Gold flake, watermelon. Sweet. Beauty of fish. Thanks, bro. Now, the downsides to resin are it's heavy. You must print it hollow for any lure design that you even want to not sink like a rock. You know, it's very, very heavy stuff. It's difficult to add things later to the lure, like, you know, rattles, balls, anything inside the lure. You know, through wire design is, I don't want to say impossible, but very difficult. Right, in some of my previous videos, I talked about how you can't really use the you split in half, two-sided design to glue things together. That doesn't really work well on resin. There's a little bit of warping that takes place and it just becomes a nightmare. FDM has one amazing superpower when it comes to making lures. You print from the, I guess, bottom up, I guess you could say, right? So it's on the build plate and the head is rising up as you print. And you can pause that print at any point in time and, you know, drop stuff in there. So in this design here, I'm basically paused the print. I'm adding this ball bearing in the print. The print keeps going. And now I have a completely encapsulated ball bearing in there that is, you know, it's not going anywhere. It's ready to go. You can't do that on a resin print because it's going, you know, bottom up, I guess. You know, it's the exact opposite way of the FDM print. It's raising it up out of the vat, and there's no, you can pause it, but you know, you can't hang anything in midair there. So you're left with these options of, you know, making holes, adding the bearings afterwards. It's difficult to get them clean. You get a lot of sticking in there. It can totally be done. I've done it on almost all my lures that I fish with that I resin 3D print, but it is a bit of a pain in the butt. Fish. Oh, you bit it right there, bro. Yeah, that was sick. Ooh. Whoa, it's a nice one, bro. It's a nice one. Oh, it's a nice one. Oh, I lost him. Oh. Oh, there we go. Yeah. This feels like a pretty decent fish. Maybe another solid 2-pounder. Yeah, he's grassy. Oh, okay. Long distance release. I'm good with that. He wasn't that big. Now, where resin really excels is if you're making masters that you're then going to mold in, say, silicone and pour with, you know, whatever material you want to pour it with, right? Whether that's, you know, other silicone like dragon skin, whether that's your own resin, whether that's something like Alumalite, which is very lightweight, foams, etc. Like, you will not produce a better master than you will with a resin 3D print, at least when it comes to the world of 3D printers. And so if that's kind of the workflow you want to have, I print my master, I come in, I create a separate mold, and I pour it with other material I want, resin is the absolute best choice for you. You can do it with FDM, but what you're going to be doing is you're not going to get as good of detail, and you're probably going to be sanding a bit as well to get all those layer lines out, etc. Got him. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, I didn't even know what was going on there, bro. Little dude. Oh. Little bitty bro. Little bitty bro. Bro. Get a resin printer, bro. Get a resin printer. Okay, so you've gone through that and you might even be still confused about what you're gonna get. And I'll be honest with you, you are probably gonna end up getting one of each because they each have their strengths in certain situations and they each have their drawbacks in other situations, right? So kind of gear up for that, I guess. You know, if you're gonna pick one to start off with, you would look at, you know, what is your primary use case? Again, molds or masters. I would say resin. Ready to go lures off the printer, FDM is a good choice. All right, so what printers do I recommend? When it comes to FDM right now, you know, there's a ton of cheap printers out there. You have your Ender 3s, you have, you know, all the Creality stuff. There's just an absolute ton of affordable printers out there. And the drawback to those guys is, you know, usually the quality of the print is not going to be good out of the gate, or as good as some other printers, right? You know, you get what you pay for, basically. But you can absolutely get started with one of those cheap printers. You know, the Ender 3, I think they got 52 different versions of it now. And, you know, it's probably a good choice. There's the Elegoo line of printers, again, good choices. My absolute favorite FDM printer right now, from a quality to cost perspective, is the Bamboo Labs P1P. I had gotten rid of all my FDM printers, and then this thing came along, and I ordered one pretty much as soon as it was available to order. And it's been just an amazing experience. The quality of prints that comes off this thing rivals resin in many cases, depending on what you're printing, right? It's insanely fast. You know, one of my big complaints about FDM printers in the old days is they were not very fast. You know, you'd print, you'd have 6, 7, 8 hour prints. This thing's cranking out prints in like 30 minutes, an hour, and I have a fully completed lure. Like, it's insane. It's a little expensive. It's about, you know, $650, I think, all in for the base package. But my God, like, if you have never owned a 3D printer before, you want something that's kind of plug and play and ready to go, Bambu Labs P1P is absolutely the way to go, hands down. There he is. Got him again, yes. This feels like a little bit better fish at least. Standard issue 2-pounder. Very nice, very nice. All right, so resin printers have gone down in price dramatically. You have seen some new resolutions out there, right? When I first started, 4K was kind of the best you could get. Now they have 6K and even 8K in the smaller size printers. You don't need that, I'm telling you, bro. Like, you don't. 4K will produce fantastic quality prints for you that you will be blown away by. The reviews I've seen on the 6K printers, especially in the mid-size 6K printers, you know, they're getting like magnifying glasses and macro lenses to see any difference at all, right? When it comes to molding in silicone, when it comes to the eye test, so to speak, like, you're not going to be able to tell. So save that extra $200 or whatever it is and buy yourself a nice wash and cure station. I like the Elegoo Mercury Plus, I think it is. Has the separate wash and the separate cure. That's awesome, awesome, awesome deal. I just picked one of those up. Or, you know, buy yourself some extra resin, because you're going to need it while you're dialing in those print profiles. It's kind of a pain in the rear. And as far as size goes, don't get a small one and don't get a big one. You know, the smaller ones are not going to be big enough for you when you start printing any lure of any size, or especially any mold of any size. You're going to be able to do like single cavity molds on the small ones, which is going to get old really quick. Or, you know, not very long or wide lures if you go with the small one. So you want the mid-size printers, which, you know, you'll generally see them advertised as like 8.9 inch to around 9.1 inch printers. I think the best deal going right now is the Anycubic Photon Mono X 4K. It's running right around $300. It's awesome, awesome printer. I have not personally used them. My buddy Norris has 2, I think, and he produces some fantastic prints. It's just a solid all-around printer. The printer I used to own, the Epax E10 4K, still absolutely solid. I ended up destroying mine. The Z-axis motor started giving me trouble. I went to replace it. I punched a hole in the screen cable, with the screw. Complete idiot. Turned it on, wasn't working. Got a new cable from them, installed it, and my screen was still screwed up. So it was time to get a new screen, which for me at this point, you know, I just got the P1P. I'm gonna hold off on getting another resin 3D printer, mid-size for now. I have the VoxLab Proxima, which I think they changed its name. Super cheap printer, awesome, had no issues with it whatsoever. It's fantastic. I'm saying all that to say, like, you can't go wrong with any mid-size 4K resin printer these days. The technology is pretty much stabled out. It's flat. They're competing on price, and anyone will do. Elegoo Saturn II, Photon Mono X. Photon Mono X M3, whatever they're calling it. Just make sure it's 4K mono, mid-size, and you're good to go. All right, guys, hope that was helpful. Hope you enjoyed the scenery out here. Trying to get some fishing in and record videos for you guys. Oh, hey, real quick, if you like me filming these videos outside while I'm fishing, I would appreciate a thumbs up to let me know you like it. I got the CNC machine set up in the shop now, and it's running most of the time, creating a huge mess in there, and it's really been difficult to film in the studio, so to speak, while all that's going on. So thought I'd try something different. Take care, tight lines. Back to fishing, bro.